Hello everybody, this is Chris Bird or MonkeyDude1313 and this is our Pokemon card haul from this last weekend. We only collect. We do not buy for profit, we do not buy to sell. The only times we will buy cards not for our master collection of literally every English card that came out of a pack or a promo box is to buy for a friend, either as a gift or to help them get product when it's basically impossible to get product. So, quick overview to tell you guys why to stay. This is a stack of vintage, mostly Shadowless first ed, but also a bunch of great first edition vintage holos. This is mid-era, and you could kind of argue that Team Up is mid-era as well, but we got mid-era here, we've got all the way through Gen 5 EXs and stuff. Then we've got Gen 6, Gen 7, some great cards there. We had to crack 8 slabs, so we'll go through that stack. And this is a metal card. So this is actually a stack of promos we got, and then a new addition to my Charizard Binder, which I'm really excited to get into. So, without further ado, I have included timestamps at the bottom of the description. So if you want to jump to a specific time in the video, it will be very easy for you to do so. And I highly recommend it if you're only interested in some of these cards. So, first, we'll start off with these guys. We only collect English cards. However, I collect every Charizard in existence. Caveat, I collect every Charizard art in existence. So the base rules for my Charizards are one of every Charizard that has ever existed in English, plus one of every non-English Charizard if its art or card is significantly different from an English version. So this guy did not ever get a print in English. So this art specifically has never appeared on a card, plus it's the box art for Pokemon Red, and tons of nostalgia for me, so I had to pick this guy up. This card is in absolutely fantastic condition. I've been finding a ton of damaged copies around that I've had to pass on, but this one is just beautiful. Plus, I love the retro Japanese back. So this card I ended up paying a little under $380 for, when current market is very hard to determine, but I'd say market is probably close to $420 to $450 depending on who you ask. So very happy about this one. This one, at the card show we went to this last weekend, there was a vendor who said, if you sign up if you follow our Instagram, we'll give you a free Mega Symphonia pack. So we don't collect Japanese, but they gave us a free pack, so we opened it and we got this illustration rare Alakazam, which, if he's watching, this will be a spoiler. This is going to be a birthday gift from my friend Michael. He loves Alakazam, it's his favorite, so we are giving that to him straight away. But for the only time in this entire video, we will dive into the Charizard Binder to put this Charizard where it rightfully goes, into the very first slot. I have them sorted chronologically. So this is the first Charizard ever printed, back in 1996, I believe. Then this would be Shadowless First Ed, Shadowless Unlimited. And I want to save the whole reveal of the binder for another time, but trust me, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So we'll get into that later. We'll avoid the camera wiggle or the camera shake for now, and let's move on to vintage. Vintage holds a fond place in my heart because it is where I began. We began collecting back at the very, very beginning, where we would scooter down to the local 7-Eleven and spend the $3 to $4 on a booster pack hanging up on the pegboard behind the guy at the counter. And no way was I ever paying an extra dollar for those first edition packs, because that was a waste. If you didn't buy a first edition pack, you could have 1/3 of an unlimited pack. So the math just totally mathed. But Shadowless first edition cards, which you can tell by, obviously, the lack of shadow, and this is the only type of base set card to have a first edition stamp, are obnoxiously expensive. For example, this Electabuzz goes for $120, $130, a lot, just for a single non-holo rare. And so these starters also go for a ton. And of course, the goal is to get as close to near mint as possible, while also being smart. Shadowless first edition Pikachu, love it. Shadowless first edition Squirtle, gotta have that one. And since our goal is to collect literally one of every English card, we got to get all these. So we got to spend $12 on the Revive. Shadowless first edition Revive. Who would buy that card, right? Well, we would, because we're looking for everything. So some specific mentions I want to call out. This Electabuzz. We were standing at a booth looking over his cards. Half of what he had were sports, the other half was Pokemon, and he had just got this in as a trade for a Destined Rivals 6-pack blister. And we ended up talking to him as he finished the deal, and we said, hey, we're interested in that Electabuzz he just got. And he was considering getting it graded, but I told him, we collect Shadowless first ed, and I'd like to make a deal with you. We ended up making a nice deal for it, and where we made sure he made profit, first of all, because that's what he's there for, but also we got a good deal on it as well. So it worked out really well for both of us, and it's coming into the collection. Next up, this Squirtle. This Squirtle is almost $200 on its own in near mint. Of course, this copy is not near mint, but when we got it, it was mega warped, and there was a lot of dirt and damage and scuffing and everything to it. But now this is a perfectly acceptable Squirtle copy. And that's because we used some de-warping methods that some of you guys might know and love. But Shadowless First Edition haul. Next up, this is an error Electrode. So this is the base set Electrode art. Sorry about the camera. This is the base set Electrode art with the Jungle Stamp First Edition. The only card we need for a Jungle Master set is the correct, not error, First Edition Jungle Electrode. So we picked this up mostly because it's fun and it's in great condition, but also because it will be a nice placeholder until we can find the non-holo First Edition Jungle Electrode. Now we're into Gym Heroes. This Brock's Golem is one of the last two Unlimiteds we needed for that, but we keep going. Not Shadowless. Rocket's Moltres, near mint, First Edition. Lovely, lovely, lovely. We got this for less than $200, but still very expensive. All right, so some commons we got that we need, mostly First Edition. Koga's Beedrill Holo, in very, very good condition as well. I think this guy was supposed to be 90 and we spent 75, something like that. Rocket Zapdos. This is like the nearest mint vintage holo I've seen in a long time, and this card market goes for 220-ish, and we paid 210. All right, Brock's Primate, Resistance Gym, Skiploom. We're actually surprisingly close to done with Neo Genesis, by the way. Next up, Wobbuffet from Neo Discovery. Lovely card. Not a lot of people know about it. Espeon, not cheap as you can imagine. Fossil Egg, First Edition Dark Feraligatr. Boy, howdy, this card is in great condition. We paid $250 for it, when the current market is closer to 300-ish. Dark Fortress, Dark Omanite, Dark Pupitar, Light Machoke, Giraffe Rig, Shining Celebi. This was actually our first pickup of the entire weekend, and thank you, Car. This was the first pickup of the entire weekend, and it was one of the last few Unlimiteds we need for Neo Destiny. So, nice to have a very near mint Shining Celebi in our collection. Luckily, we already have the first dead, so we don't need to worry about that. And one of the three remaining cards we need for Neo Destiny Unlimiteds are the Shining Charizard. So that's fun. Thought Wave Machine is another one of the Unlimiteds. And then Legendary Collection Butterfree, which we needed for Legendary Collection, obviously. We are just about done with the Legendary Collection non-holos, but we are not close to done with the Legendary Collection reverses for hopefully obvious reasons. Next up, Gen 3 Team Aqua Magma Secret Jirachi. This card is worth like $80 right now, but as you can tell, there's a little bit of scratching and scuffing up here, so we got it for a decent amount cheaper due to condition. Next, this Banette. This Banette is quite warped, and I have not attempted to fix that yet. But this Banette, I ended up paying $35 to $40 for. Nice card. Zoroark, Secret Rare Zoroark. This card has some scratching in here that I'm hoping to be able to get out, but we got this card for the MP price rather than its near mint price of like $300. So, what a lovely Gen 5 Secret Rare there. Next up, Dark Explorers. This was the last half art we needed from any set. Ever. We don't need any more half RDXs. But this card is $54 near mint, and this copy is near mint. So we spent a little under $50 for this guy. But it's really nice to have that done. Next up, Full Art Kyogre. This card, crazy expensive, but it was really nice. We got this in a deal with the Banette and a few other cheaper cards from someone. So this card is really hard to price right now. And we ended up paying, I think, $350 when the market price is all over the place from $300 to like $600. So hard to value this one, but this guy's near mint as well. Next up, Landorus EX. We actually got 4 cards from Boundaries Crossed, which means now we only need 1. The Keldeo EX Full Art. So we'll hopefully get that one soon. It's the cheaper of the full arts from that set. But I love this Landorus, and I have some PTSD from this Landorus because I played TDK back in Gen 5. And so Landorus, you know, very, very good card, very aggressive, and very scary, especially for my Thundurus EXs. All right. Black Kyurem EX and its partner White Kyurem EX. These guys are also insanely hard to price. And we've seen this exact pair of black and white Kyurem at card shows for the last few months from the same vendor, and they've always been hesitant about selling, and we were finally able to come to a deal for it. So we got both of these plus this silver Dialga for $1,000. But if you look into market prices, not only is it hard to price these guys, but they are hard to find in great condition. So, you know, it was a tough sell, but we got it done. Next up, Secret Rare Terrakion from Boundaries Crossed. Love this card. I think it's really cool. The Gen 5 Secret Rares don't get a lot of love, and so it was nice to finally find this guy. Garbodor from Plasma Freeze. Very similar. We don't have the Ultra Ball secret from Plasma Freeze yet, which is increasing by $100 every couple of weeks. So at some point, we're either going to hope the price goes down or we're going to spend $800 on a golden Ultra Ball from like 15 years ago. More like 14 years ago, it seems. But yeah, scary, scary. And last for this stack is the Silver Dialga. Ooh, pretty. In very, very good condition. You know, there's a little bit of whitening. It's certainly not going to 9 anytime soon. It's certainly not going to 10 anytime soon, but great, great copy. And this finished our master set of Phantom Forces. Very, very fun. And when I say master set, I mean everything. Reverses and first editions. I mean, there's no sets that have both, but we do the main set and then reverses, or main set and first editions, whatever, you know, is relevant. All right, now into more modern stuff. This Eevee and Snorlax GX actually finished our master set of Team Up. You may have seen in a Wishlist Wednesday recently that we were missing a few cards, and this was the last one we needed, so now our Team Up set is complete. Hooray! Eevee Snorlax, very cool card. This card is way too expensive. All right, next up, Rowlet, Alolan Exeggutor. This is from Unified Minds, and now we are only missing a few cards. And we'll get into the Latios that we cracked out of a slab earlier. But we are missing the Naganadel Rainbow and the Grimsley Full Art from this set, but otherwise we're done. So, very, very cool, very neat, very happy to finally get this card after multiple times of not getting it. And Prismatic. You might see the massive jump, and that's because we've basically master setted every set between that one and this one. Prismatic, we have not been buying the expensive stuff on purpose because prices keep going down as people get more and more product and Pokemon keeps printing it. But we got a fantastic deal on this. Someone undercut the offer I had even given. You know, they had it priced at 80. Market is closer to 65 or so, and he said 50. So how are we going to say no to that? But we've done a bunch of deals with this guy. I think we've ended up doing $5,000 or $6,000 worth of deals over time. So it was really nice for him to give us such a lovely offer on this Raging Bolt. Love the art. Since we're doing master sets, we also need master balls. And we accidentally got 2 Bronzong. And this is a funny story from these guys. As we're going through these card shows, there are so many vendors with so many cards, and we need to go through all of their vintage binders because we're looking for first edition non-hollow narrow gym from Gym Heroes, right? So we need to go through everything. We can't just look at the case and leave. We have to go through every binder and every stack and make sure that we can find all of the hidden gems. Sometimes, if I'm done at a vendor and my partner isn't, I will go on to the next booth and start looking through that one so we can kind of split up the task. She found this in a binder, and at the exact next booth, while we were separate, I found this one. We both bought at the same time, and I came back to tell her that I had got this, and she held up the exact same card that she had just paid the money for. So we have 2 copies of this Bronzong and a great story. So definitely never getting rid of this one. This guy is going into my personal collection along with the master set. So we're still good. Having 2 copies is still nice. Okay, so we're 15 minutes in. I'm glad you guys have been able to last this whole time. Let's get into Slab Cracks. We do not collect graded cards. Before these 8, we had 3 graded cards total, and they were all given to us. We did not intentionally buy any of these graded cards. We have a Dark Charizard First Edition Beckett graded. We have a Mega Charizard Full Art from EX Evolutions PSA 10, and we have a PSA 10 Japanese Espeon from Prismatic Evolutions. All of them were gifts. But we bought 8 more slabs, and we cracked them all because you can life hack your way into cheaper cards that you care about for your binder by finding 8s and 7s, which are usually below the cost of market price, and just cracking them. But I had never cracked slabs before, so I had to practice on something, and so I found this new style, meaning the new plastic for PSA, really cheap Reshiram from Roaring Skies. This was a perfect one to practice on because we already have this card, and it was a 9. It was very cheap. It's just a holo from quite a while ago, 10 years ago or so. And so this was a perfect one to practice on. And this one was the worst because the new PSA plastic is less brittle. And so you can't just like snap a few of the seams and it pulls out like the older ones can. This one you need to really get in there. And so unfortunately, my first practice cracking ever was on the new style, and I felt like I was just messing everything up. Turns out I was just fine. No big deals. It's just cracking the new ones takes a very different technique. But there's that guy. And I will skip over to this Wooper. This Wooper, mint 9. Very good story with this one. We asked one of the vendors, who is a good friend of ours, if they had any cheap slabs, and they said no, but the vendor next to me just bought one really cheap. So we went over to them to talk about it, and it was this guy. And coincidentally, not only was it a cheap slab, but also we need this Wooper for our collection. We do not specifically have first edition Neo Discovery Wooper yet. So this was a perfect coincidence. The universe kind of was nice to us and gifted us a card that was both slab cracking practice, because it's relatively cheap, and a card we needed for the collection. So that's very nice. But getting a little ahead of myself, this Latios GX, this was an 8. I can't really figure out why this is an 8. The centering is a little off, but I know that they treat these kinds of things a little differently because it's not based on the line, it's based on the silver behind it. I don't know, but fantastic looking card. Wonderful binder copy. I mean, what's the problem with that? And for Unified Minds, we have not been able to find the rainbows anywhere. We've been looking now for 4 or 5, 6 months at these shows, and so when we finally find one and it's in a slab and it's like 40 bucks or something, very, very good. So this is one of the last few we needed for Unified Minds. Next up, Superior from Dragons Exalted, another Gen 5 secret rare, and recent sales on this at an 8 have gone for about 160, 170, and we paid 124 in. So pretty good deal. The guy played hardball, but we ended up coming to a nice deal. So very nice to have this. We now don't need all that many cards from Dragons Exalted. Ampharos, first edition from Neo Revelation. This one's actually a little bit of a cheat because we got this not last weekend, but the weekend before, but we hadn't cracked it yet. So finally cracked it. And this guy at an 8, I think, is 160, 170 or so. And we traded at 100% trade value, the equivalent of about 140. 130, 140, depending on who you ask, because it's, hard to price these vintage singles. But absolutely love this card. Absolutely love this art. And we only need a few cards left for a Neo Revelation Master Set, which is exciting. We need first edition of both of the Shinings, though, so that's going to be a dent in the wallet. Next up, Erica's Venusaur. This one came with a green graded guard, so that was pretty cool. We did not own any, grading accessories at all, so now we own one, and I put it on the Charizard because green's my favorite color. But Erica's Venusaur at a PSA 7 is significantly cheaper than the raw value. So we paid under 200 bucks for this guy, when a near mint or LP plus copy can easily go over 200, maybe 220, 230, 250, depending. I've seen it sold at near mint for 250 plus many, many times. So finding this guy in a 7 in fantastic condition and then cracking it out. Wonderful, wonderful. And last for this graded stack is Misty from Gym Heroes First Edition. This was graded a 7. I still can't figure out why this is a 7, man. There's a tiny little bit of scuffing on this side that's kind of hard to show. But other than that, man, I don't know. The card just looks fantastic. So near mint copies of this raw go for over 200, and we paid 60. So for us, quite the steal, because now that can go into our binder, filling a slot, and most people would call that a near mint raw anyway. So very, very happy about that guy. And finally, for the quickest part, promos. We only recently decided to start buying promos. Before, we were just kind of working on master sets from the main cards. So metal cards are a subset. They're not technically promos, but there's only 6 metal cards, and we own the expensive ones already, so why not? This Greninja EX metal card is GameStop exclusive, and we found it for like 20 bucks. Cool card. Very neat. The other 2 that we're missing are the 2 Arceus that came out of the same super premium collection. So otherwise, we have the Charizard, Pikachu, etc. Next up, Celebrations Pikachu promo. Love this guy. The big heckin' Pikachu. And I'll just quickly go through these. We're not officially collecting the Pop series yet, but we will at some point. But my partner's favorite Pokemon is the Evolutions. So we are filling out master sets of all of the EVs and Evolutions for her. Pikachu V, Jolteon GX for the same reason, Duskmane Necrozma, Meowstic, Aurorus, one of the 3 cards ever printed for this guy, by the way, Aerodactyl, Swampert, and Thundurus. The Thundurus that I was telling you about with the Tornadoes from earlier. So, you know what, I wasn't planning this, but I will go and pull it out anyway. Imagine rocking up to a table. Pull out your, put your Pokemon face down, in defense position, haha. No, put out your basic Pokemon, decide who's going first, and then you flip. All right, great. My deck got its perfect start. Thundurus with Ride and Knuckle, which is wonderful to help start powering up your guys. And then your opponent flips Landorus. Oh boy. Hammerhead. Let me pick this up. Hammerhead does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, along with 30 to the active. So, not only does it do 60 because of weakness, but now they hit some critical breakpoints on your benched Pokemon, so you're just sad. Very, very sad opening back in TDK days, but you know, what can you do? You decided to rock up into a fighting Pokemon's face with an electric type. Not great, not great. And boy howdy do I have a story to tell about how many hours and how many Targets and Walmarts we had to go to find the Landorus promo that was a tech at the time. But anyway, as you can see, the light just went out on the camera. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you like this type of video. Do you want to see more of our weekend hauls? If so, leave a comment letting us know. And I will see you guys next time.